Hi, Jim Ewing for ProVision Solutions, Inc. and ProVision's Business Success. Thanks for joining us as we learn about some of the things that are necessary for success in business today. In this series, you'll learn from those who have experienced business. You'll pick up some great tips that will help you to succeed in your own business, apply the lessons that are learned, and pass them along to others. Tell us about your experience with business success.
Let me share a story with you that I think will really be very telling. I worked for an organization for 30 years, a retail organization. It was a Fortune 1000 company. I ended up as a vice president of that corporation, left them in 1989. I was one of about probably 5 men that were responsible for managing it. Not long before that, I found myself on the top floor of one of the Arco Towers in downtown LA with a battery of lawyers sitting around a large table signing papers to borrow $200 million to protect our company from a hostile takeover. From that day forward, this wonderful old Jewish-run, high value and ethic organization began to take a turn for the worse. All of a sudden, we're trying to service $3 million a month debt just for interest only. We started making decisions that were no longer in the best interest of the vision of the organization. And I left, and 2 years later, the organization is now bankrupt. And all because we lost our way. It's been said that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And that's what we were doing. We were on one of those any road experiences.
How can you improve the working relationships in your environment?
One of the things that really has struck me in my career in the business world is the idea of the importance of vision. You know, we give lip service to vision. We have vision statements, which a lot of organizations confuse. They'll use a mission statement, which is clearly different than a vision statement, and superimpose them over each other. But the idea, the broader idea of vision is so important. Michelangelo allegedly said something very profound one time. He said, you know, I'm not sure how I'm able to carve these magnificent masterpieces, but what I'm able to do is I'm able to go over to the rock quarry, and even before they cultivate the marble from the quarry, I'm able to capture the vision of the beauty of the statue that I want to create. He says, once I catch the vision, I simply chip away what doesn't belong. And I thought, what a powerful illustration to demonstrate the need for us as leaders to make sure that everybody that works for us understands the vision, what we're here for. And then the second most important thing is to help everybody understand their part, and not only how to help bring about the vision, but a linkage between their own personal life and their own personal vision and the vision of the organization. If they can make that linkage, they're going to be a lot better employee, and you're going to evolve the kind of corporate culture that will really help you to be a success.
What are some of the words of wisdom that you'd pass on to others?
During my time of doing some motivational speaking back in the 80s, I met a woman by the name of Betsy Sanders. It would not be a name that would be familiar probably to many of you. Betsy is retired now. I think she hobnobs with Elizabeth Dole. She's on the board of Walmart, or at least she was last time I hooked up with her. But in those days, Betsy was the executive vice president of a company called Nordstrom's. And she was largely responsible, at least they say, for their rapid growth and expansion during the 80s. And if you've studied Nordstrom's, you know they're a retailing phenomenon. One day, Betsy said their executives invited a group of executives from J.C. Penney to their headquarters in the Northwest to enjoy a meal and just to talk. They came. Betsy was the only woman at the table. She said there were about 4 or 5 guys from Penny's, and there were 4 or 5 people from Nordstrom's, and they were seated around a large conference table enjoying the meal when the top executive from J.C. Penney turned to the Nordstrom's executive and asked him the following question. He said, "We've been watching you guys. You are amazing. People coming from all over the world to study what you do. If you could distill all of the things that you do down into 1 or 2 simple concepts that would best illustrate the secret to your success, what would they be?" Now that's a pretty good question. But the Nordstrom's guy, he didn't answer it straight away, Betsy said. He said, "Excuse me, hold that thought, I'll be right back." He left, went into another room, and he came back a few minutes later with a large leather-bound book. He opened it and laid it before the J.C. Penney executive that asked the question. The book, written 120 years ago, was the original operational manual for J.C. Penney. And he simply said, we do everything that it says in that book. Well, you can imagine the embarrassment on the part of the Penney's executive. What was he saying? He was saying, you had it, and you let it get away. You lost your first love. In Texas, they say, you ain't dancing with the one who brung you. The idea that they were talking about is simply vision. It's vision and sticking to the vision. Look, Stephen Covey years ago used to use an iceberg to kind of illustrate the way corporate culture is supposed to work. At the base of the iceberg is the vision or mission of the organization. The bulk or the body of the iceberg is its core values or the things that it believes to be true as a result of the vision. And then above the surface of the water, which is seen, is their behavior. So their vision, their values, and their behavior need to be lined up. If Nordstrom's decided to sell tires just because there was a high profit margin in tires, I'm sure you would realize that is not consistent with who they are, even though the profit margin may be there. The reason my company is no longer in business is because we chipped off the top of the iceberg and floated it off on other ideas that were not who we were. And what I like to say is that little floating chunk of ice ain't going to sink no ships. The minute tough stuff comes against you financially or in any other way, you're going to crumble and fall apart. And that's what happens, sadly, to so many organizations when they lose their first love. So if I can encourage you in any way, it is to make sure you have a clear vision and that that vision is clearly communicated to everyone in the organization and that everyone in the organizations see their unique role in bringing about the fulfillment of that vision.
If you have questions about business success or other things to move forward with your organization, drop us a note and we'll get back to you with information to help you move forward. For Provision Solutions Inc. and the Business Success blog, thanks for watching.